Realist Historians, back at it again with another banger.
We're your hosts.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Des.
And today we'll be talking about an impactful string of events that were very monumental to the history of the United States.
The events as in the connection of Brown v. Board of Education's verdicts on the civil rights movements.
For some background on Brown v. Board, Brown v. Board was a Supreme Court case held in 1954. Before the Brown v. Board case was approved, schools were separated by race. This was due to a court case called Plessy versus Ferguson that took place in 1896.
So it was sometime after the Reconstruction era?
Basically, the Reconstruction era was in 1865 to 1877.
During that era, the Civil Rights Act was passed, which was the first law that protected every American no matter what their race was. But African Americans were not protected.
They obviously were not with what Plessy versus Ferguson was about.
Essentially, what it did was a separate but equal way of thinking. A man named Homer Plessy fought against the law, but it was decided already. This put into law that races would be separated by color.
Even in schools, children were separated, and they were treated equally too.
Nah, they didn't have equal things. They had separate schools. There were no integrated schools at this time. But Brown v. Board changed things. Brown v. Board was a case between Oliver L. Brown and Board of Education of Topeka. Oliver L. Brown filed this lawsuit for his daughter, a third-grade student named Linda Carroll Brown. He filed this lawsuit because his daughter was denied the entry to all white elementary schools.
With Linda Brown being denied the closest school to her house, which was an all-white school, she was forced to take a long bus ride to a farther away black school. Oliver Brown first filed this lawsuit on February 28, 1951. He was represented by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or known as NAACP. The NAACP's chief counsel, Thurgood Marshall, was their representation. On May 17, 1954 is when the United States Supreme Court made their final verdict on Brown v. Board. They ruled that racial segregation was unconstitutional to the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment in Section 1 says, "Nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws."
What that says, it is unconstitutional to deny anybody no matter their identity. If they are a citizen, they get equal protection of laws, and because of that ruling, it was against the law to have segregated schools.
Having schools get desegregated was a start of breaking down the separate but equal doctrine.
From then on, they were not allowed to segregate students any further, or so that is what was said. A well-known event in this time was the Little Rock 9 girls.
There was a school board in Arkansas called the Little Rock School Board. They made a plan. This plan was to integrate their high schools first, but allowed for students to transfer schools based on where their race was majority at.
But that did not really happen. They did not even integrate students yet. There was no set timeline or plan on when and how to integrate schools. Since schools were not doing it, there was another part of the case Brown v. Board of Education, Topeka II, held its decision on May 31st, 1955. The decision instructed that schools must integrate as soon as possible.
With that, it seems like they don't even want integration, which is true because Supreme Court told schools they must start on immediate desegregation before that plan was made. Even after their plan, 17 African American students were not able to register into Little Rock schools. To make a further point, on February 8, 1956, nearly 2 years after Brown v. Board took place, the NAACP claimed that 33 African American students were not permitted into 4 of Little Rock schools. A year later, on February 19, 1957, the Arkansas State Senate gave a final legal approval for 4 segregation bills. These bills removed the mandatory attending of schools that were integrated, so they did not want white students to be enrolled into integrated schools. They also authorized school boards to use school funds to fight against integration.
Using segregation bills makes it seem like they don't want schools to integrate. The schools board themselves created their own individual plan to integrate schools, but it seems to me as though they're fighting against it. They were the ones who abided by the law.
I'm saying I agree. These laws were signed by Governor Faubus.
Isn't that man known for fighting so hard against integration?
Yep, that's him. But those bills were taken down shortly after.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I don't remember those bills being active at all later on. The Little Rock School Board wanted to temporarily suspend the integration plan that they had made. On September 7, 1957, federal judge Davis ordered Central High to be interrogated on Monday. That Monday would be September 9th, 1957. That Monday is significant in history because it was the day that President Eisenhower signed the Civil Rights Act of 1957. It was the first Civil Rights Act since the Reconstruction era. On September 25th, 1957 is when the Little Rock 9 girls stepped into Central High with troops protecting them.
Brown v. Board impacted the civil rights movement by kickstarting the movement. After Brown v. Board, it empowered more black activists to stand up for what was right. Though white people still wanted power and resisted this movement, there were positive outcomes to what happened. Many laws helping everyone become equal were passed. These laws include the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968.
Brown v. Board sparked the evolution of the civil rights movement. Some movements that followed the ruling of Brown v. Board was the Montgomery bus boycott from 1955 to 1956, starting from Rosa Parks' Birmingham campaign and March on Washington in 1963, led by Martin Luther King Jr.
Governor Faubus, you ain't know that I'm a joint. I stay knowing history, I'm always on point. I don't frequent you cause you a buster, neither does President Eisenhower.
Este es el final de nuestro segmento. Adiós, amigos.
Your name, but you heard my name. Don't know why you came tryna get that name, but you heard my name.
No, you wanna be
my main chick. My main chick. Said
it was sometime after the Reconstruction era.
basically,
The ones who abided by the law.
I'm saying.
Close that back door, can you shake that back one home?
Hello. I'm gonna leave my damn podcast for this.